Jenny here. I just have something on my heart, so I figured I would just stop my car and sit here in my driveway and share it with you. I heard a fellow Christian say not too long ago that they cannot worship in their church. And I have really thought about that for a while, and I have a problem with it. And I'm going to tell you a little story about when I went on a missions trip to Caracas, Venezuela, and this place where we worshiped. This was when I was in college, and the people of that country, they had church right there in the middle of where they live. And if you know anything about the barrios of Caracas, Venezuela, look it up online. It's the poorest part of the country, and what happens is they don't have plumbing at all like we have in America, and they have ditches where you go to the bathroom, to be blunt about it. And the bathroom ditches where there's poop and sewage floating down the sides of where they walk. They literally are walking and living right. It's open sewage, very smelly, very unsanitary, and that's just where these people live. And so we were doing VBS and church in this area, and they had set up a tent right in between this area where these ditches were. And let me tell you what, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do to try to get over the fact that that smell was overpowering, and I had to figure out a way to worship God, because we were worshiping God, and then this is where we were having church. And I tell you what, that I prayed and I asked the Lord, to change my heart, to change my attitude, to change everything about me, and I asked him to do that. And it's amazing. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he blew the wind. I don't know if he just changed. Maybe he put some, stuff in my nose. Who knows what he did? I don't know what he did. But I tell you right now that I stopped focusing on that smell and I started focusing on the Lord, and I was able to worship God. And I guess what I have to say today is that if you feel like you cannot worship in your church, shame on you. Shame on you. That's between you and God. And I tell you what, I've worshiped in churches all around the world. All around the world, I've worshiped in churches in Europe, in France, in England, and there's been some very cold and interesting places that I have found myself worshiping the Lord, and I've worshiped God in churches all over America. I have found fellowship and worship towards the Lord in all different places. In around campfires, I've worshiped God in Grenada. I've worshiped God in like I said, in Venezuela. And I tell you what, I could worship God in these strange situations that were different to me, culturally strange, but I was able to find worship with God because my worship with God is between me and him. It isn't based on my surroundings. It isn't based on the people. Tell you what, some of the smelliest situations that I have been around are some of the attitudes of fellow Christians when I go to a church or go to a situation, and I'll tell you what, that's more smelly than the poop in the barrios of Venezuela. Smellier sometimes, and you know what, I still have to worship the Lord between me and him. That's what it's about. It's not about what's around us. If what's around you is stopping your worship towards the Lord, shame on you. For real. Stop it. Your worship should come from your heart and should be between you and God, and it shouldn't matter what's going on around you. So I encourage you today, when it's Sunday, today is Sunday, I encourage you to find within your own heart the worship that you need to bring to the Lord, because he's the creator of the universe. He created the whole world in 6 days. That's what I believe. Go ahead and challenge me if you want, whatever. And he rested on the seventh. He rested and he said, give this day to me. Give me a day where you rest, where you worship me, where you are focused on me. And you know what? Whatever culture you live in, whatever that looks like, whatever worshiping God looks like, from what you know of, from what you grow up in, okay? That's okay. All right? Here in America, we have created church to be this thing where we go to a place and we find community with fellow Christians, and we do that, and we worship together. What an amazing thing. We get to find people who love Jesus like we do. Okay, awesome. That's how America is doing church. Great. Not everybody agrees with how exactly, it is done, but that's our culture, and that's what we're doing. So go and worship God. Yeah, do it. It's awesome. And then maybe you live in a culture where, for example, in Grenada or in the Bahamas, down in the islands, you know how they do church? They start church when they get there. You could be sitting there for a couple hours waiting and having fantastic conversation with people as they come up. And then eventually, some people bring food, some people bring things to drink. Everyone's sitting around and you're enjoying the company. And then the pastor comes and you're sitting and you're listening to what he has to say. And then you're eating food together and there's lunch and then you stay all day. Some cultures do church like that. You spend the whole day together. Wow. That's really different. So if you're in a culture like that, do it. Be a part of it. If you want that, make it happen. But don't ever tell me or anyone else that you cannot worship at your church. Shame on you.